Welcome to episode 2, What is Artificial Intelligence? In this lesson, we will build a simple and practical model of AI. Rather than beginning with technical theory, we will follow a familiar pattern: information goes in, the system interprets it, a result comes out, and a person reviews that result. This model will help us understand both what AI can do and where its limits begin. Episode 2 is the second step in our 12-part learning journey. The first episode explained why AI has become useful in everyday work. Now we will define AI in practical terms. This foundation will prepare us to compare different AI capabilities in episode 3 and then begin working directly with ChatGPT in episode 4. For this course, we can use a straightforward definition. Artificial intelligence is technology that interprets information and produces a useful result by drawing on data and learned patterns. The word useful is important. An output becomes valuable only when it serves a clear human purpose and can be reviewed before it is used. This four-part flow gives us a practical way to think about AI. First, a person provides an input, such as a question, an image, a voice recording, or a file. The system interprets meaning, patterns, and context. It then creates a result, perhaps text, a table, an image, or a plan. Finally, a person reviews the result, decides whether it is appropriate, and determines how it should be applied. Input is not limited to typed sentences. Text may include questions, notes, and instructions. Images may include photographs, diagrams, and screenshots. Audio may include speech, recordings, or meetings. A file becomes useful input only when the system can access it and the user explains what should be done with it. Simply attaching material without a purpose leaves too much room for guessing. AI interprets information differently from a person. It can recognize patterns, connect likely meanings, and use the context that we provide. However, it may misunderstand facts, it does not share our lived experience, and it can interpret context incorrectly. This is why a confident answer is not proof that the answer is correct. Human review remains part of the process. The result can take many forms. AI may produce written text, a table, an image, audio, computer code, or a plan. The requested format should match the work you actually need to perform. A good paragraph is not useful when the task requires a checklist, and an attractive image is not sufficient when the task requires verified information. This table connects 4 AI capabilities with practical uses. AI can organize and summarize long or complex material. It can generate ideas by presenting several alternatives. It can analyze patterns in data and suggest areas that deserve attention. For repeated work, it can reduce the time spent on routine steps. These capabilities are useful, but none of them removes the need to verify the result. AI can assist in ordinary situations as well. A learner might use it to summarize notes or prepare study questions. A traveler could organize questions and schedules. In the kitchen, it could suggest substitutions based on available ingredients. For writing, it can prepare a structure or an initial draft. The common pattern is support. AI helps prepare material that a person then considers and uses. The same idea applies to work. For reports and data, AI may help prepare a first draft and support analysis. For email and meetings, it can summarize messages or organize meeting notes. Marketing teams may use it to suggest copy, slogans, or content ideas. Customer service teams can draft frequently used responses and possible options. In each case, the human user supplies the context and decides what is appropriate. AI output should be treated as a draft, not as finished truth. Before using it, check accuracy, look for missing context, adjust the tone, consider safety, and decide whether it is suitable for the real situation. The arrow from draft to use represents human judgment. That review is what turns generated material into responsible work. Several warning signs require action. Information may be wrong or incomplete. The output may contain bias or reflect patterns in the source material. Important conditions may be missing because the context was limited. Ethical and legal judgment may be required before anything is published or applied. These are not unusual exceptions, they are normal reasons to review AI-assisted work carefully. Some areas require qualified review because the consequences are greater. Health, law, finance, product claims, and privacy are examples shown here. AI may help organize information or prepare questions, but it should not become the sole authority for a final decision. When an error could materially affect another person, verify the result with an appropriate professional or authoritative source. This comparison shows how a weak request can be improved. Write a customer notice gives almost no direction. The improved request identifies the audience, explains the purpose, asks for clear language, specifies what information to include, and sets a firm but calm tone. Better input does not guarantee perfection, but it produces a draft that is easier to evaluate and revise. Files need the same kind of direction. When you provide text, explain what should be written and identify the audience, purpose, facts, and tone. When you provide an image, state what should be explained and what details must be verified. When you provide a document, identify why you need a summary and what it should contain. The material, the purpose, and the expected result belong together. This slide brings the entire working loop together. A person provides a question or source. AI interprets its meaning and patterns, then generates a draft or result. A person reviews it using human judgment and applies it to a real situation only when it is useful and appropriate. AI work is therefore not a straight line that ends with generation. It is a controlled process that ends with a human decision. Now prepare one real request. Write the purpose in the first box, what must be accomplished. In the second, identify the source material you can provide. In the third, describe the output you need and its format. In the final box, list the standards you will use to review the result. This exercise creates a complete request before you open an AI tool. Use these 5 statements to check your understanding. You should now be able to explain AI in practical language, identify the 4-part flow, name several possible output formats, recognize when qualified review is necessary, and give an uploaded file a clear purpose. If one statement is still uncertain, return to the corresponding slide before continuing. The main lesson is simple: use AI as an assistant that prepares material for review. Choose a real task, provide useful context, and examine the draft before applying it. In Episode 3, we will compare types and scopes of AI by looking at the work each capability is designed to perform. The QR code opens the Amazon page for the optional English companion guide.